Welcome back to the All Ireland podcast. My name is Dylan Murphy, and with me today I have Winnie Ama. Did I say that right?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I have Winnie with me today. Thanks for joining me.
Thanks, Dylan. Thanks for having me.
So I suppose just to get the ball rolling, can you give us a bit of an introduction to yourself, your music? How would you kind of describe it all to someone that hadn't heard it before?
Yeah. I write music which is, I would say, alternative R&B pop music. Um Usually it's like a conscious topic, or it's about having fun. Those are my two main broad topical areas.
Hmm.
So um yeah, like dance music to relax to. So it's quite a broad range, but I would call it like alternative pop R&B.
Okay, and how did you get started? Can you give us a bit of background as to your story? What's your history of music, and how did you get to where you are now?
Yeah. So I started writing off just poems and stories and things like that. I didn't really write any songs until I was about 20. And I was actually like on a conference audition, and he was talking about what he did, and I was like, that would be amazing, wouldn't it be incredible if I could do that? And he was like, but you can do that, why don't you just do it? So then I wrote some songs. The team I'm working with now, I met them about 8-9 years ago. One guy called Francis, who I've worked a lot with, Francis Groove, and I met him in the street in Hungary. I can't even really remember how we go for lunch together, go to parties together, and things like that. And then much later, um, I realized he made music because I didn't even know that. I posted something on Facebook that I had written and recorded just at home for my friends and my family, and he liked it. So he suggested, why don't we work together and write a song? So I wrote some songs with him, and then now I'm releasing my own stuff for my as well. So that's how I got here.
So, you got started and you were working with Francis Groove. Was that your first experience in a studio setting?
Let's see. Actually, before that, I'd done some much more casual stuff.
Okay.
Um, so I met some people on Facebook, like Facebook groups, and one guy had a studio and he was looking for a singer, and I went to his office, like where he worked. So I did one song there, and everything else before that I was just doing on my laptop at home. Yeah.
And can any of those tracks still be heard today?
Yes. The very first one that I did, um, You Shocked Me. You find that on YouTube. And that one is just like the home recording version of it. I don't know, maybe I think maybe the professional one that I did in the warehouse is, yeah. So if you search me on SoundCloud, Winnie Ama, you might find it there.
So, you've done a lot of collaborative work. Obviously, you've worked with Francis Groove and all that kind of thing. When it came back to writing your own music, then after that, was it a difficult transition to make?
Not really, because I think it's the same if I write for myself or someone else. It's it's usually still I'm writing about something I've experienced. So all my songs it's like writing it everybody else who wants to hear it. So I'm still writing from my experiences or my feeling. And even if I'm writing with someone else or on my own, I'll bounce off other people for ideas either in a conversation and it turns into a song. So it's not really any different.
So, do you look to personal experiences then when you're writing a song?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's the easiest way to write a song is to think about something, or more to think about a feel to a song is for me the easiest way to write.
So your latest single as of now is What Are We? Isn't that correct?
Yeah,
Can you tell us a bit about the whole process of writing the song and releasing it?
yeah. So what are we is about an argument where you think that you're on the same side as a group of people, so your friends, your mates who you would normally go to, and then it turns out people who you assume would be on the same side as you, no, wait, and the other way around, people you assume would not be on the same side as you turn out to be your allies, turn out to be your
Okay.
friends. So that's so the whole idea is like, what is going on? What are we? And I've had this feeling like so many times now recently where so I thought it's worthwhile to write about, especially like we probably all had something similar recently with the whole COVID thing where there's so many interesting theories flying around. um Black Lives Matter and all sorts of scenarios where I'm thinking, oh, I didn't think you would think those things, or what's going on. So it was just before lockdown that I recorded it in Belgium with my team. So this guy called Simon Lesant, because he's Belgian, Lesant in English, is a producer. Um, went to his studio in Belgium and we put it on there. And then over lockdown, it was mixed and mastered by a guy called Vito, who is from, I don't know if you've heard of Glitterbox. It's like a big party, and he mastered it.
Okay, brilliant. Just it's interesting to me there. You mentioned everything that's happened in the past few months or so with the pandemic and Black Lives Matter movement and things like that. Would those kind of social things, those kind of social movements, let's say, would those be a source of inspiration for you when you're writing?
Sorry, I lost you for a second. You said
I'm just saying that a lot has happened in the past few months with COVID and the Black Lives Matter movement. Would kind of social events like that be a source of inspiration?
yeah, definitely, definitely. I think so for me, I was thinking about the impact that all of those things happen, all those things have, it's a super rare experience that the whole world is
Yeah,
experiencing the factors about it. And yeah, I think it's worthy um, of a bit of attention, of this unique experience that people are having with their peers, with their friends, with their families, these difficult conversations where um, anything can happen, and you might not end up at the end of the conversation with the same relationship you had at the start. So yeah, that's where the inspiration came from.
okay. You mentioned that you have a really wide range of influences. Do any names in particular of any particular artists come to mind when you think of influences?
Influences, yeah. So I really love jazz music. So I studied jazz, and Nina Simone, I really love. Ella Fitzgerald, um, Amy Winehouse, one of my favorites. I love her energy, I love her style, her sassiness, super cool. Um, pop, female inspirations. For more recent music, I don't know if you've heard of Travis Scott or
Yeah.
Black Bear. I love that kind of lo-fi, like soul
Hmm.
R&B vibe. Yeah.
Okay, well that's definitely a wide range of influences as you're saying. So do you kind of see that do you try to really combine kind of old and new, let's say? Is that something that you try to do?
We can always, yeah, definitely. I think we can always or at least I can always learn from the past, from
Mm.
these absolute magnificent great people who have forged completely new genres out of
Yeah.
nothing. And there's so many things in there which you can just like grow from and get inspired from. And then more recently, more recent music is the same thing. Whenever people are trying new things, I love that. Um, to cast my ear or my eye across different eras, different genres, and then right around me in my local area and find out where I can go with that kind of inspiration.
So you're originally from Belfast, Northern Ireland, but you live in London now, isn't that correct?
Yeah.
Um, how do you think that there was much of a music scene in Northern Ireland or in Belfast? And what was the transition like to moving to London, where I'd imagine that there's a much bigger industry?
Yeah, there's definitely a music. Yeah, there's definitely a music scene in Belfast, which is really cool. Um, I when I was living in Belfast at home, um, I wasn't, didn't have like a lot of encouragement to make or write music. So I was just an observer in Belfast. So if I was to sing a song in my house in Belfast, I think my sister in particular would have like laughed her head off until I stopped singing because she's just like, it's like didn't really get involved in any of the live music culture there. So in London, I can speak more about it because I know lots of people who perform live, and I'm more involved in it here. It's of course it's going to be more diverse because London's more diverse,
Yeah.
um, and also there's more options. So if you want to be completely anonymous and try something completely random and you're in London, you can do it, and probably you'll never see anyone there that you'll know. Whereas in Belfast, one that you know. So I feel like in London you can be a little bit more, you can take more risks musically,
Okay.
and people do as well. So the range of music is a lot broader. You get some incredible artists and also people who are just trying to work out who they are and what's going on. Whereas in Belfast, I feel like it's more um it's it's uh it's more of the ones that I saw were more professional
Hmm.
across the board.
So do you think it's sorry, you kind of cut out on me there for a second. Do you think it's easier than in London to get into the industry?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. This is only from my experience. I'm sure other people will have different things to say, but I think because the music world is so huge in
Mm.
London, there's so many options, so many genres and subgenres, and there's always going to be places where you can just turn up, you do that, and probably never run out of places to perform. Um, and until you get good enough to do like professional gigs if you have to. I think there's more of a range because it's much bigger.
So, you kind of mentioned there that you didn't really get much encouragement, for lack of better words, when you were at home. Can you give me kind of a bigger picture as to your history, kind of getting into music on a more broad spectrum, I suppose?
Piano in school, and I was in school choirs and things like that. But I never sang on my own or performed on my own or did anything like that, because I assumed that no one would want to hear it or that it would be bad, um, which is just like a lack of self confidence.
Mm.
And I think, yeah, I just didn't have that kind of uh, I guess, environment where loud and creative and to perform and entertain people. It was more like a it was more like a laid back sit down and write, which is why I wrote poems and stories, but I wanted to sing the whole time. Um, but I think that's why I love it so much because it's like a new thing
Yeah.
for me. Even now, it's still like a new thing that I can sing and someone wants to hear another song. It's like, yeah, and so I won't get bored of it anytime soon. I like it.
And have you performed on many live gigs yet? I obviously know that COVID is going to have an impact on that, but have you done many live performances, or do you have plans to do that in the future?
So of solo live performances, I haven't because I haven't released anything solo yet.
Okay.
but I have my first solo set of gigs in November. So from the 10th to the 14th in London Bridge, which should be really, really cool. I'm a little bit nervous, but I have a lot of time to practice. So I'm sure it's going to be great.
Okay. Do you think that your style of music has changed at all? I know obviously you have a very kind of in-depth description as to your influences and stuff, but do you think that you've kind of changed it at all in the past few years, both in your solo work and in your collaborative work?
Definitely, definitely. Because I think because because whenever I write and sing, it's like a reflection of how I feel and how I feel different person than I was in the past because I've learned information, I've expanded my horizons, I've made different decisions. So because I'm different, the music's different. I'm sure that won't really ever change. Um, but at least I think there'll always be a form of evolution
Yeah.
in the way I sing and write. Yeah,
So you kind of mentioned there that the way you write and what you write really has really depends on your emotions and the like. Um, how does it how long would you spend writing a song, or is it kind of a thing of you write something and you'll come back to it later on, or will you sit down and write something with the intention of releasing it in the near future?
yeah. I always will sit down and write with the intention of completing a song.
Yeah.
Um, and sharing it. So then if everybody likes it, I'll release it. But I always intend to share it with my closest friends, my
Okay.
family, release it as well.
And do you ever have any kind of work that's on the backlog, let's say? Do you ever find yourself writing and kind of saving certain things for later on?
Definitely. Yeah. I think I probably have, so I'm only releasing my first one now, but I probably have about 2 albums worth of material that I could release. But it needs to be, it needs to be, I don't want to bombard people, but
Okay.
hopefully I can share it all soon.
Do you have any specific plans on what's and do you have any particular plans for what you'll share in the near future?
Yeah, so my next four singles I've got locked down and ready
Okay.
after this one. So this first one is kind of like a down tempo chill vibe. The next one's a lot more upbeat, and there's two upbeat basically and two chilled songs in the next.
Do you think it's important to, you mentioned there's chill songs and there's more intense work. Do you think it's important to kind of get that range of emotion when it comes to your work?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's more fun as well. So a lot of artists just will pick like one type of tempo, which is great because sometimes you just want to hear or feel a certain
Yeah.
vibe. But I think because I I kind I'm just going to write it or sing it or vibe it out or feel it. So it's going to be different tempos. Sometimes it's going to be super slow and relaxed and maybe depressing. Other times it's going to be upbeat and happy because it's just based on probably what's happened to me that day.
Mhm. So,
Yeah.
you've I see you've done videos on YouTube for a very long time. I noticed, and you've done covers of lots of different type of music. Would you ever consider kind of changing genres, or I suppose kind of experimenting with different things?
Oh, I lost you for a second there. Would I change the genre?
I was saying that you've done covers of a lot of different songs on YouTube. Would you ever consider kind of experimenting in different genres and things like that?
Yeah, definitely. I think experimenting, even if it turns out to be like good or bad, or also collaborating with people in different genres, I love that because a genre is just like the language of a different group of
Yeah.
people. And when you can speak to people in different languages, I think that's great. I think I'll always have like an electronic electronic sounds and styles and the feeling, but also I'll step into other genres. Maybe not fully. I can't imagine doing a rock song or a country and western song, but
Okay.
maybe with like references to those different genres, like taking my hat off to them.
So you're kind of so you're willing to experiment, but kind of within reason. You're not going to go too far away from what you know and what you're interested in.
Yeah, yeah, exactly that.
And I know obviously, you're early in your career at this point in time, but have you had has anything kind of stood out to you as been like a challenge or something that you've kind of struggled to overcome when it comes to releasing your music or promoting it?
Yeah. Um, the main challenges, I think, that's a good question. Um, in general, I think the main challenges are to make sure that uh, the team around you is the right team and they all have the same vision. Everyone believes in this a lot easier.
Hmm.
But I think it's always challenging to make sure that the the team or the project group is like the right one. But I think I have the right team now. But it took time to put that together. It took time to find people who understood the vision because especially when you collaborate, there's always going to be things in your head that you can't do or that you need from other people.
Yeah.
And they need to feel like they can fill that void and you need to do the same whenever they give you some communication where someone's thinking one thing, another person's thinking, and when the final product comes out, like everyone's like, "What's that?" So I think the initial main hurdles were to find the right team, but I have that now.
Has it ever happened that you've had like any kind of creative differences with a member of your own team or someone else that you've worked with?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. So on the very first song I ever recorded in Belgium, um, because there's so many questions about it. And I think because it was our first project together, um it was like getting to know each other because once you know someone really well, you're whatever you're working on is going to be much better than when it's a total stranger. So I
Okay.
think yeah, that first song um had many differences unresolved.
So, do so. I mean, sorry. So, when you're writing a song, do you have kind of an image in your head from the beginning, or does it kind of change over time?
Um, I think normally there's like normally I'll only write a song whenever there's a really strong feeling and like it's something that's happened or something that I'm thinking or feeling that makes me want to call my friend and tell him
Yeah.
everything right now, or I want to like I don't know do a video blog, like I want to convey something, I want to talk about it or just dance it out or something. So usually there's a really strong picture, but sometimes it can change as I explore the different dimensions of the feeling, like when like when you uncover any part of your own mind, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it definitely does. So it's very kind of not spur of the moment, but it's very much what you're feeling at that time, and you really try to get that out in as quickly as possible. Is that correct to say?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's like a strong feeling, emotion, thought, vision, and then I want to lock it down so that I can remember it. So it's like writing a diary or taking a picture. Like it's like taking a picture of an emotion.
Okay.
That's what I think writing songs like.
It's a very personal and it's very personal experience to you, is it?
Something really exciting about like it's almost like having a secret
Yeah.
and then whispering it but to the whole world, and that's why I
Okay.
like it.
Okay, that's very nice. When it comes to releasing the track, then, have you had any difficulties with, or how do you find the business side of things, like the promotion and sending music to different stations and that kind of thing? How do you think? Is that a strength or a weakness from your point of view?
So myself personally, because I work with an independent record label called
Okay.
Black Eye Records, and they do the bulk of it. But I think it's always useful to understand how every part of the process works. So I've been doing bits of it myself, and it is like super confusing because everyone, there's no right way to do it. There's a million ways you can skin a cat, but some are better than others. I think getting the attention from like radio DJ, playlist promoters, or whatever it is
Hmm.
difficult because there's a plethora, a huge amount of excellent music out there. Um, so yeah, that's the trickiest part for sure. I'm sure for any artist, the same.
Okay. Well, I'm afraid we're almost out of time, but before we go, do you have any closing comments or anything like that?
Closing comments. Well, if you could check out my new song, Cold Water We, at the moment. There'll be a video also coming out soon, and send me a message to let me know what you think. I think that would be great.
And where else can people find you online if they're looking?
You can find me on Instagram, Winnie underscore Ama. So Winnie underscore AMA underscore. Same on Twitter. I'm on YouTube and SoundCloud, Winnie Ama.
Okay, perfect. Well, this has been Winnie Ama. It's been a pleasure to speak to you.
Thanks. It's been great to
Thanks,
speak to you.
thanks very much, and best of luck. Thank you.
Thanks, Dylan. Bye.